Welcome back to New Record Day. My name is Ron, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a quick overview review of the Studio 530s. This is going to be just a back to basics review. We're not going to be doing anything crazy. I just wanted to tell you guys what it is that I love so much about these speakers and why I haven't been able to pull myself away from them ever since I got them. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm having a blast with these guys. Before we begin, let me just run through some basics and we'll kind of go from there. This is a horn speaker. Okay, so you do have a compression driver, you have a waveguide, and 5 1/4 woofer down below. Let me check here. Polyplast with symmetrical filled. You know what? Who cares? It's plastic. It does the job. Specs here have it rated at, for frequency response, they have -6 at 45 hertz all the way up to 40 kilohertz. I believe that down -6 45 hertz is probably accurate, but the 40 kilohertz, nope. I did some gated measurements and I don't see anywhere near 40 kilohertz. The best that I was able to get is a drop off at 15K. Behind our house, we have a giant open field, and I did some outdoor gated measurements out there. The reason why I did it is because Danny Ritchie of GR Research got in a pair of these, and he took some measurements, he sent them to me, and I was like, I don't know, Danny, like JBL wouldn't lie to us, now would they? I mean, come on, why are those dropping off at 15K? I had to go and check for myself, and my measurements almost look identical to Danny's. Either way, I would never describe them as a bright speaker. They're not a bright speaker, but I don't think that they are, as an example, a Harbeth P3 ESR. They are 6 ohms and they are rated at 86 dB sensitivity. It's a strange horn speaker because a lot of horn speakers are going to be very sensitive, and you can power them up with, you know, flea power tube amplification. That's not the case with these. I think JBL recommended 25 to 125 watts suggested. I'm using 100 watts with these, and I've ran them with the NADM10. That is a Class D amplifier. That combo is killer. And I've also used the shit gear that I got, and I got the Freya Plus, I've got the Bifrost, and I also have 2 Aegers. I don't know how to pronounce those, but they're 80 watts continuity amplifiers, Class A continuity amplifiers, supplying 80 watts, and both of those rigs, it's killer. Pretty cool looking speaker in my opinion. You know, the looks are not for everybody. I get that, but I like the way these look. You can use the grill, or they have this little plastic, well, now you have your horn, and so that works. On the back, if we take a look, it is a ported design. You have 5-way binding posts, pretty simple. You can do bi-wiring or bi-amplification if you want. I haven't experimented with that, but it's there if you want to do it. Let's get straight to the point with these. Z Reviews did a review of these a while back, a good while back. And when I watched that review, I thought to myself, oh, well, this guy's a dodo brain. That's what Z, if you're watching, that's what I thought of that. This guy's a dodo brain. I couldn't figure out what it was that he was getting so darn excited about. I was like, they can't be that great. I mean, come on, man. And after all of these years, for some reason, that review has just been locked in my brain because it just bothered me how much Z was just gushing over these little speakers, and I wasn't able to let it go. And so Christmas time came around and they were doing some specials on JBL's website. These are $600 speakers and they were $300 for the pair. And so I hit the checkout button, I got my pair and I set them up. It did not take very long for me to go, wait a minute here. I don't really love horns, but this is different. I'm digging what I'm hearing. And so this is the experience, is within about 3 or 4 songs, I was hooked. And what I heard that captured me, that was so captivating and interesting, is the way that this speaker projects sound. There's a presence to it that is just kind of suspended and hanging in the air that is so lively. These speakers are a firecracker. Man, there is zip and there is life to the music and things are just popping, and it's not bright and it's not shouty. It's not screaming at me. And that is what I experience often with a lot of horns. And I wasn't having that with these guys. And so I thought to myself, all right, let's put some time on them. And so I did. I gotta say, every hour was a blast. And it seems to me that the more that I listened to these, the more that I actually appreciated what they were able to do. Are they a perfect loudspeaker? No. So as I made my way through a lot of different material, there were a couple of things that stood out that I didn't love about these. I'm gonna mention it right now. I don't know snot about horns. There are times where this sounds plasticky to me. There are times where something that I'm hearing in vocals, specifically in vocals, that there is something colored about the vocals that I think I could trace it back to the materials that are actually being used here. And I don't know if I'm right, that it is just that when you get into better horns, you get away from plastic and you get into other materials that don't have that kind of artificial plasticky sound. But I've noticed it on some tracks. Is it super distracting? No, it's not, because with that a little bit of plasticky sound, you still have that presence and that projection that I was talking about, that firecracker kind of thing going on where the music is alive and it's energetic and you're loving it and you're like, this is freaking awesome. This is like, I'm having fun. I'm into this music. That, for me, always overshadowed what I am hearing as a not so great thing about this speaker, a plasticky sound, or something in there is not quite what I would say is true to the signal. In fact, I would say most of the things that I hear about the speaker are probably not true to the signal coming in. I think it's doing things that just makes things really fun. Another thing that I've noticed that I don't really love, 86 dB, kind of hard to wake up and get them going, but it seems like there is a fine line of where they start to really give you the goods, and then, guess what? This starts farting out, and you can hear it. It's pretty clear. You are just going from really good to holy crap good, and now you're sound like well farts. That sucks about these speakers, is they can only be pushed so far volume-wise before physics shows up and says, haha, you got a little bookshelf and it has a port, and so ta-da! I'm here to crap in your Wheaties. Sorry, love physics, and that's just the way things go. The next thing that I want to do with these, that I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna throw these on my H-frame open baffle subs. I wanna run some filters to pull some of the low end off of these and let the subs do that work. And I'm hoping that if I do that, I might be able to minimize that port chuffing, that port noise. Fantastic sounding speaker. I love them to death. And this is all within the context of, I paid $300 for these. And I would dare say it might be the best $300 that I have ever spent on any piece of hi-fi gear ever. These are my favorite. Best $300 I've ever spent. Most fun. I love them to death. And if these ever go on sale for 300 bucks, you should definitely give these a shot. Let's run through some of the basics. Bass extension is decent. I am getting some texture and tone out of the bass. It doesn't just sound like lame, boring notes. I am getting some texture and tone, and it does hit. I'm convinced that it hits in the 40s. I got to do some in-room measurements, but I'm convinced that it's hitting in the 40s. So you have that. And keep in mind, guys, I have these pulled out like 6.5 feet, 7 feet into the room. That's probably not what you're gonna do. You put them where most people put them, you might be able to get even more bass out of them. And so there's that. Mid-range is a little bit on the thin side. So you are getting that presence, that firecracker, that wow, that fireworks thing going on. But mid-range is sacrificed a little bit. It's not, it doesn't have the same meat on the bones that you're gonna hear in some other speakers that are around its price point. It's more cutting. Not a bad thing, because I feel like it kind of matches the personality of the speaker. So does it bother me? Heck no, it doesn't. Top end extension is, I would describe as sweet. That's the best way I would describe it. I never enter any kind of listening fatigue. Now granted, that's not something that I enter. I don't have listening fatigue all that easily. I'm not super sensitive to it, but the top end of these to me sounds sweet. These are a speaker that I can actually point directly at my ears. I'm fine. I'm fine all the way up to as loud as I can get these before I start hearing that port noise that I talked about before. No issues. Soundstage, not world class. I'm gonna be honest with you on this one. These are more about projecting sound from the speaker or the baffle forward. Any depth that you get is gonna be in the center image. So you do have depth there, no doubt about that. I was concentrating on that earlier when I was listening to them and thinking about how I want to do the review. You do have content that has depth for the center image, but outside of that, if we're talking about the rest of the stage, it's pretty much speaker forward. You're not getting stuff thrown around the room like open baffle speakers can do, or some really, really well-designed bookshelf speakers. It measures reasonably well. There is a dip at the crossover point. When I did my measurements and we compared them with what Danny did, my dip at the crossover point was more aggressive than what Danny showed, and that we both were like, that's kind of interesting. It's a decent measuring speaker, and so somewhat linear, but it doesn't sound like it. And so it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. I'm just letting you know that this is, I don't think this is a truth teller speaker. I think this is a let's have fun speaker. And so I want to celebrate it for what it is, and that has been my experience with the Studio 530s. I hope you enjoyed this little review. Leave a thumbs up, comments down below, ask me any questions. I'll be quick to respond. And yeah, if you want to know what this guy sounds like, I'll leave a link down below for a Frequency Friday where I cover the shit audio gear, my first impressions, and the star of that show in the sound clips is these guys. And I feel like maybe more than most of my sound clips, those sound clips really do show off what it is that I love so much about these. You get it. You're like, man, those speakers have got some cojones. Like, there is some pep. There is some fireworks going on, and enjoy that. Check it out. We'll see you guys in the next video. See you later. Bye.